In this video, I'm going to show you an exercise for hip external rotation that your doctor, your trainer, your surgeon, your physical therapist, nobody will ever show you because they've never thought it through. This exercise is going to improve your hip stability, it's going to help you relieve hip pain, and it'll help you do cool stuff like balance on one leg so that you can do things like throwing kicks. If you want to understand how to set this up for yourself at home or at the gym, make sure you watch through to the end of the video so that you can build hip external rotation strength safely and effectively. So if you're ready, let's get ready to think right, move right, and feel right. We're going to jump right into the exercise, but I want to ask you what brought you to this video. Why are you looking for hip external rotation exercises? Is it because of pain? Is it because of some specific sport? Let me know in the comment section down below, all right? Let's talk about the exercise. For the banded hip external rotation exercise, you're going to need a long training band that's attached to something very stable and secure, and you're going to need something to help attach the band to your foot. If you don't use anything extra, it's very likely the band will slip off. So using something like a carabiner, which you can get for a couple dollars at a hardware store, and a wider training band can work out really well. It's a simple, cheap, easy solution, and it'll keep it pretty secure around your foot. Alternatively, you can buy an ankle strap or a foot strap that's used for cable machines at the gym. So if you're at the gym, this can be really handy, and it can also work clipping in with a carabiner to a band like that. So what we're gonna do is have our foot secure in either the strap or with this makeshift strap. We're gonna have it attached to the leg that's further from your anchor point. You're gonna let the band pull you into hip internal rotation, and then you're going to externally rotate. You're gonna feel the muscles on the outer hip here working to create external rotation. When you first start, just sit in a comfortable position with the leg out in front of you. The knee should be straight, but not overextended, not hyperextended. Just have a little bend in there, keep it comfortable, and you're gonna be externally rotating. You can play around with different positions here. You can be tucked in tighter so you have more hip flexion. You can be leaned back. You can be all the way back, lying down, just hugging your knee towards your chest or your thigh towards your chest so that your spine doesn't go into a heavy arch. And then you're just gonna keep working on external rotation. You can also try going into a more abducted position, as if you're doing the pancake splits, externally rotating, allowing the band to pull you into internal rotation, and then pulling out into external rotation. You can even use this internal rotation portion as a bit of a stretch. Think of it as pulling you into the stretch, and then you are strengthening through that full range of motion. All these angles and positions are fine. Figure out where you feel restricted, figure out what feels challenging, and just keep exploring and building your strength through the full range of external rotation. Now, if you want to set this up at the gym, you just need to have some sort of strap that you can use to clip into a cable machine that's set low to the ground. Make sure your gym has a weight stack that has a very low first increment. So if it's 5 pounds, that's probably great, but if the first increment is 15 pounds, it's probably gonna be too much, and you should just stick to using elastic bands for a while until you feel you have the strength to effectively do hip external rotation using that much resistance. So how do these exercises help us with things like hip stability, balance, and cooler stuff like being able to throw a kick? Hey, I want to give a big shout out to these people for becoming assisting muscle members of the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. And a big thanks to Angela, who's actually a Prime Mover, which is the top level membership. Thank you guys so much for supporting this channel. I really appreciate it. If you want to support this channel too, you can do so by using the join button or use the other links you'll find in the description box like Patreon or PayPal. And also get on my newsletter at uprighthealth.com/newsletter so we always stay connected just in case the algorithm or the censors decide they don't like me anymore. All right, let's get back to it. So how do these exercises help us with things like hip stability, balance, and cooler stuff like being able to throw a kick? Well, when we are trying to improve hip stability, it means we're trying to get muscles to fire in the way they need to in order to keep the hip feeling stable and secure in any position. That's also what we need when we're trying to get better balance. Because if we're standing like this and then twisting or something pushes us, we need the muscles all around the hip to react instantaneously. And that means they have to have the strength, the requisite strength to manage the weight of the body. Okay, so by doing things like the exercises I've shown you, you're strengthening the ability to hip externally rotate. And if you've lost that, then any kind of rotational force is going to just cause you to topple, because you'll only be able to use your other muscles and they're not able to counteract anything, right? If I get pushed into hip internal rotation and I don't have hip external rotation strength, all I'm going to do is try to substitute by creating hip adduction or hip flexion, and I'm just going to fall, right? So I need to have the ability to resist hip internal rotation. I need to be able to do all of those things. So that's why I do encourage you to do more hip exercises besides just hip external rotation, okay? Now, talking about balance and kicking, right? When you go to kick, if you're going to kick somebody, you need to be able to control your stance leg. So if I'm going to kick somebody who's right here, this leg needs to be able to turn. And what's it doing? It's doing hip external rotation, right? So that's giving me the wind up to kick into somebody. Now, are there ways to cheat this or do it with less hip external rotation? Yes, you could kind of like plant it and maybe open up your whole pelvis so you're not getting quite as much external rotation, and then you're spinning into hip internal rotation on this leg. But again, it's helpful to have the option. Maybe you want to be able to just go turn and kick, right? That is going to require hip external rotation. And if you want to feel stable throughout the whole range, like I mentioned earlier, you want to have the ability to create external rotation on demand without really even thinking about it, as well as hip internal rotation, because that's what's coming next, right? So when you're training your hips, remember that you're trying to train all of these motions in a balanced way so that you're then able to do whatever you want to do when you want to do it, and your hips feel good while you're doing it. When you first start off with any kind of exercise that's targeting dormant hip muscles, I encourage you to give yourself some time off after the first day you do it. So today, let's say you do 2 sets for each side and then do a 3rd set for the weaker side. You want to give yourself 2 full days off before you do it again, just to make sure you don't cripple yourself with soreness. It's very, very common for these muscles to be very, very weak, and they will get very stiff with some delay. So you just don't want to be overdoing it by doing this every single day when you first start, because you might not be able to walk because those muscles are so angry. After the 2nd day, you want to give yourself another couple days off just to see how things are going, and then if you feel like you can tolerate it well, then do them more often. You might find 3 days a week is a really good pace for you, and you may find that sitting in a chair all dang day is not good for your hip muscles, and what's better is to wake them up by doing some of these exercises. And if doing these exercises every day feels really good for you, awesome. Just make sure you don't cripple yourself with soreness. And also, I encourage you to train other motions as well. So check out my videos for hip internal rotation, check out my hip stretching and hip strengthening follow-alongs. All of those will be linked in the description box. I also encourage you to go to uprighthealth.com/DIY to find a program to help you rebuild your hips at home. I've got the Healthy Hips program and the FAI Fix. You can find them both at uprighthealth.com/DIY. To support this channel, use the links you'll find in the description box or use the join and thanks buttons on YouTube. For more free videos to help you with your hips, be sure to check these out here. Like, share, and subscribe with the bell notification on. And as always, I hope you remember that pain sucks. Life shouldn't.